Okay, I just can't hit. joining you for another episode of Man Book Study with your host, man. Let's be doing this month. But next month, whenever we get done, all my hurricane survivors. I hope you protecting you safe from the hurricane, storm surge, the flood, the wind, the rain. Please be safe out there. All the folks in Florida, we put out our blessings. We wish y'all the best. We know it was a horrible situation, but the Brooklyn man is here for you. What's going on this evening, Doc?
Man, what is happening? I'm over here with technical difficulties down, but it's all right though. I'm still in the game.
Hey, it's Mercury retrograde, man. We're gonna make it through. It's all right.
Exactly. I had to tear down all my stuff because I had some more electrical outlets put in my studio.
Okay.
So, oh yeah. Oh, he got me hooked up. So I had to send a big shout out. Valentino Electrical Service. Look, I know him personally. If you need anything done, he is trustworthy, very professional, will get the job done for a good price. I mean, one man show. He good.
There you go. Sometimes where I hear it's hard to find reliable people. So there's a lot of one-man shows out there.
Yeah, and he one of them. He came and hooked me up in a couple hours. I got so many outlets now. I don't have to use no more extension cords, no power strips, nothing.
Oh, you straight to the wire now.
I'm all good, bro. I'm all good.
What's wrong with that? I'm glad you got set up with. You'll be back whole 100%. But your camera looking good. You looking good.
Yeah.
We back. It's Thursday night. It's the book study, man, and these 3 chapters right here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The first time I went through this book, I read, listened to it on Audible. I believe these are the 3 chapters that I probably used and applied the most to my personal life.
Yeah.
And also probably the 3 hardest chapters for me to apply because my natural inclination is so different from what the brother's talking about in the book. And however, using what I'm taught in the book, I has proven to be effective.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's one of those things where we have to kind of reevaluate how we look at things.
Right.
I've had to, and this is also, convicting. Let me rephrase that. It answers a lot of questions.
No, I'm gonna use convicting. It's definitely convicting for me. I'm not. I definitely felt attacked. I was, I'm not gonna lie. It hit a couple of points for me, and some things I was determined to work on. I felt like I did a good job, but I'm actually at a point where I probably really needed to hear this again. So I'm kind of glad it hit right at this time.
Yeah, it's one of those things you have to keep kind of revisiting.
Right.
You got to keep revisiting it, and it'll set you straight. It will set you straight. All right, man. Well, let's go.
Let's get into it.
I can't get my chair right. Well, I'm just all discombobulated today.
Gonna work out. We're gonna figure it out.
Oh yeah, I ain't even worrying about it. We're gonna go. All right. 13. Let me go ahead and throw that up on the screen so we can get a good look at it. Don't use your family as an excuse. Yeah, that's a big one. That's the big one. So
I definitely did it.
Oh man, we always do. We try to find, what we do? We make excuses and we use things that people can't say no to, that they can't say they disapprove of, just to win them over.
Yep.
We all do that. And when I found myself doing that, to cut it out.
Really should be doing. But it's certain things, like you say, you can say, and the person gonna be like, well, I mean, you can't get mad at a person for doing that.
Exactly. And you never want to say it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me let's look at this thing right here. So he says, if a man discovers his deepest purpose, or if he is permanently compromises it and uses his family as an excuse for doing so, then his core becomes weakened and he loses his depth and presence. And the thing I drew an arrow to right here say, his woman loses trust and sexual polarity with him, even though he may be putting much energy into parenting their children and doing the housework. A man should, of course, be a full participant in caring for the children in the household. But if he gives up his deepest purpose to do so, ultimately everyone suffers.
Yep. And I absolutely did that for a number of years at one point in my life, and absolutely the everyone in the household suffered.
Yeah. And the world will tell you, and they've been trying to tell us for, I don't know what, 20, 30 years now, that, we should be helping out at the housework, helping out with the kids. But then it turned into more than, for some people, it's more than helping out. It turned into doing all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And in our pursuit to be a good man, we end up doing this stuff.
Right.
We end up keep going. And that's what hurts you.
I think in our pursuit to be involved or good parents, we end up not being good men.
That's right. That's right. Because it's different. It's different for us.
Right.
It is way different.
I think you can be a good parent as a man without being a good man. But if you are a good man, you will inevitably be a good parent.
Okay. Yep. I feel that. I'm just noticing a trend, and this fits into that trend. You see a lot of videos and people saying that Generation X didn't teach them certain things. You didn't teach us this, you didn't teach us that. But the truth is, they were taught everything that the parents knew, and that everything is shifted so much now. It's like such this huge search for manhood until it looks like they were taught nothing.
Well, first off, I think the blame Generation X is flawed. Generation X,
yep,
just like us, just like we Generation X, and I'm right on the cusp of Generation X.
Yeah.
Depend on what year chart you're looking at. I think a lot of parents, in their 40s and 50s now, spend a lot of time trying to give our children what we didn't have.
Right.
And we forgot to give them what we did.
Yeah. But then I think too that the focus has changed. For a long time, when they thought of the things they didn't have, it translated into stuff. Translated into buying Jordans and name brand clothes.
Right. It definitely turned into material. We got obsessed with giving our children the material things that we didn't have because we finally started making a couple more dollars or, being let in the rooms we couldn't go into before. Generation X is the first generation of Black folks that were born post civil rights.
Yeah, that's right.
So they were born into a whole new world from their parents.
Look, my kid's born into a whole new world from me.
These children are the first children raised on social media. So the reason the world is changing, so prior to the computer age, the world was pretty much the same. Post civil rights and then post the computer age, which lap right on top of each other.
Right.
The world is changing. The generations are growing up in totally different worlds. So I think it's flawed to blame the generation before because they were brought up in a world that didn't exist before them. The rules that apply to the baby boomers didn't apply to Gen X. The rules that apply to Gen X, a lot of them don't apply to the millennials and Generation Z. But you have to take the best of and try to trickle it down to each generation while helping to develop each new generation. And I think the developing each new generation, because of the massive level of distractions outside of the home,
right,
have been hard to accomplish.
Well, let's talk about these distractions because what do you say here? If you give up your true purpose, don't do it for too long because you're not really helping anyone.
Yep.
in a word, I think you said do the thing that you meant to do
Mm-hmm.
and stop trying to be something or somebody else. I can tell you personally, when I embraced who I was and started doing that, I was much happier. And everybody around me was much happier because I didn't have the to be a chameleon and wear somebody else's skin. I got to be myself.
Yeah, and I think that's such a big part of finding your purpose. You feel more like yourself.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in that and you're doing it, you know you're working towards it. You feel more like yourself, and it allows you to open up and be more honest with everyone. Because
Mm-hmm.
a big part of honesty that gets left out is not so much a person telling a lie; it's the thing that don't get said.
Yeah, you're right.
Like a lot of people walking around saying they're an honest person, but then they haven't said a whole lot of the things they should have.
No, and that's a major flaw with folks, and that's something I struggle with for a long time. Not saying certain things.
Yeah, I still
being
struggle.
A little bit too prudent.
Yeah, I still struggle with it. I think men in general struggle with it.
All the way around. But you know what? I highlighted something in here, and it's self-resignation. And what he's talking about is when you give up your purpose to do that thing, to, you know, do more housework, do all the housework or do all the cooking, things like that. And then after a while, he said that eventually resigning yourself to a lesser life than you know you are capable of living.
Yep.
How many of us get to that point to where we just like, you just accept it and you just give up on life. You just coast through it. That's what he's warning us against.
And that's easy to do, especially if you've accomplished a couple of baseline things that I think most men want to accomplish. For example, if you've gotten your family to a point of some kind of comfort, you know, you got the house and you got the car and y'all are living okay and you're not worried about bills and stuff, it's very easy to say, okay, well, we straight.
Right.
And really not feel like, and really stop chasing whatever you really should be doing. You know, you came out of college or you came out of high school and you got the decent job and you worked your way up, all that good stuff. You got a couple of certificates and some skills and you feel good about yourself.
Right.
But you really not doing, you just got a good job. You just got a decent career. That's not really what
you Exactly. And that's it. That's it. And further down, he talk about how we shouldn't our task and how our task is not who we are.
No.
But this, what he said, makes sense about the self-resignation. And when you do it, he said your self-resignation will communicate yourself to your woman and your children. They will feel your weakness. Now, this is the part, this next part, this is the big part, because he said your woman will begin to take charge more than she really wants to. Since you are clearly not capable of taking charge yourself and someone has to do it. Your children will challenge your capacity to discipline them. Wow.
Yeah.
And then what did he say after that? He said, your household will become a place where everybody tests your capacity to stand your ground and you will lose. That's the thing we don't understand.
Yep.
And I think what's happening and what I notice is that we're getting conflicting messages.
Absolutely.
Because the world is telling us to be this guy that lays down and don't stand up for himself. That I think that's what the world telling us. Be more like this. You know how they used to say, embrace your feminine side.
I think the world is telling men to quote unquote embrace their feminine side or, be less stern, but the world doesn't take the time to tell you how to navigate and tell you what moments to not be that way.
You're right. You're right.
And I think for us as men, history has proven it's better for us to err on the side of caution and maintain our masculine form than allow an uncontrolled feminine form into your presence. What I mean when I say it is, if you don't know when to be masculine at all times.
Okay. I give you that one. I give you that one. Have a default.
Right. Even if it's not the most effective thing all the time, it is better than using something you're not sure about incorrectly. You know,
right.
The worst thing you could do is pick up a gun and don't know how to use it.
That's true. That's true. But
you better off sticking to the knife you know how to use, or stick with a 9mm. You know how to use that AK-47. Yeah, that AK-47 can do some damage, but you might want to stick with that 9mm you know how to use.
Do what you know how to do.
Right.
But could you imagine? And I think this is the thing that's happening to a lot of guys. And I think this is why that suicide rate is so high, because you get tested every moment.
Yeah.
Everybody testing you. The people you love testing you. Your kids testing you. And everybody think you gonna fold. They handle you like you about to fold. And most times we do. And after losing so many times, that's crazy. But this is it. This is it.
It's a tough spot to be in, especially the way it's described in this chapter, only because, like you say, society has told our generation of men, we need to be more involved with our children. We need to be more sensitive to and more emotionally available and more sensitive to the needs of the women that we're with. All of these things. And to flip a switch in a single generation was not good.
Yeah, I mean, it happened fast. But
Right.
here's the hard thing. This was what coming to me. And I think I realized this a long time ago, and I think this is a fact we all have to accept. As a man in life, you have to be on duty all the time.
Right.
There is no clocking out ever. You can't stop. You can't stop holding your frame. You can't stop, being yourself, because what'll happen is, again, everybody gonna test your capacity to stand your ground.
Yep.
And that's the hard part, man, especially against people you love who usually don't do that. We got that absolutely right there. Definitely, you're right.
It is just this is why you must stay in your purpose, because if you in your purpose, that other stuff kind of falls to the wayside, because knowing that you're doing the right thing. I can admit in my life, I have known 100% that I'm doing the right thing a lot less than I've been worried whether or not I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And if you can get to the point where you're in your purpose and you're doing the right thing, you're consistently doing the right thing, it's very easy to stand your ground. It's very easy to say, this is what I will and won't accept. It's very easy to hold yourself and people around you accountable. But if you aren't even sure you are doing the right thing, then it is extremely easy to be pushed over.
And there's a question here. And the question is, how do you stand up for yourself? How do you do that? Because I think that's the main part a lot of people struggle with, especially if you've been beaten down by the world. You're at work, getting beat down, you're everywhere beat down, and then you come home and your wife or your significant other is testing you time after time after time. The kids keep testing you, and you can't even stop and collect your thoughts and catch a break. You keep losing. How you gonna overcome that?
Well, I mean, that's part of what they're gonna, as we continue to go through this book, giving you ways and avenues in order to do that.
Yeah.
I do believe it starts, with yourself. It starts with dedicating yourself to your purpose and your focus.
Yeah.
And it's not bigger than your family.
Mm-hmm.
Your purpose is not bigger than your family, but your purpose makes life better for your family.
Exactly. Well, he says this further down in the chapter. Oh, well, look at this. Many men, however, regardless of how much they love their family, absolutely feel a deeper calling. If they do not live true to this calling, then their core weakens, even if they genuinely love and desire to serve their family. The truth is, you have to be, you got to integrate it.
Yeah.
Oh, my boy Fritz Wolf is in the house. Look, me and Fritz go way back to those Hertz days in Florida. Look, good man right there. But look what he said, because I'm in the education field and I feel like I'm tested every day by a female majority workplace. They know they need to know that you're going to be strong day in and day out and be there for the students that have behavior issues. Look, Fritz, I've been in the game too, since we left one another. I'm almost 15 years in. And they got different ways of testing you and doing little things.
Yeah.
That you have to withstand. And then the kids work. They will see right through you. I train people on how to deal with these children and the things that they do over the years. I picked up on it, and they will test you. They see any moment of weakness. And when I say weakness, it's not you being tough or doing stuff like a military person would be. But if they sense you not being yourself, that's when they test you.
Yep.
They will put it to you.
They can't wait to do it.
They do it on purpose, all of them.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's like a snowball. But that's what happened in people's houses, man. That's it. But then he says also, and this is what I think. I think we have to learn to integrate our purpose and our family together.
Yes.
We got to figure out how. Well, first of all, people got to find out what their purpose is. You got to find that, which I am thinking. Now I'm gonna put this together. We can do a little mastermind or something like that to try to help people find their purpose, to hone it or redefine it. People who already kind of know what it is, definitely want to do that. But once you find it, then you got to try to integrate that into your life. Like it's you. It's not something different. It's like we try to treat our purpose separate from our family and being a father, when in actuality you are both. And we have to figure out how to do both.
Yep. Can't just be. I think it says in there that you have to find your purpose, but when you are with even if you spend less time with your family,
yes,
focused on that time.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's the main thing is whatever we're doing, the amount of time, while we'd like to spend more time at all times, is not as important as the quality of the time.
That's right. I mean, how many people remember, and I know I've done this, you spending time with your kids, and especially when they're little, and you get down on the floor to play with them, and next thing you know, you sleep. You laid out. They just crawling on you. You just laid out. But that quality time, and he talks about doing that with your wife or significant other too. Being intentional about the time you spend with them and the things you do with them. So that's it. And you see here, Damien said you got to be a stoic. And that's something that people don't understand. Like, my people think that, when I'm stoic, it's not only in the face of stressful situations, but all kinds of stuff. Yeah. I mean, even like, my wife is like, I want to see you kind of be overwhelmed with joy, that kind of thing. Like if she would have bought me my dream car and it's parked in the yard, what she want to see is probably me running up and down the street, giddy and crying and doing all this stuff. And for me, what I'm gonna do is say, you know what? I like that.
I have a thing that says I don't get to experience the top 15 or the bottom 15. I stay in that zone.
Yep.
I live inside the margins. I don't know if I cheated myself. Sometimes I think I've cheated myself by being, by being that way. And then other times when I see people who are hurt, and I know I don't ever get that hurt, I don't ever break down that far. I don't ever.
Right.
I'm like, maybe I didn't cheat myself. So I know because of it, when I do feel very strong emotions one way or the other, I do have a hard time working my way through it.
Well, I think that's one of those things, though. We have to come up with tools,
right,
how to work through it. And strong emotions can be really good, or it can be, really bad.
right.
But I also feel that I'm of the mind that we should have self-control all the time.
Correct.
You'll never see a moment. Cause you know what? When we lose control, people get hurt, property get destroyed. Like, I think Jordan Peterson said it best when he was talking about every young man has to be a monster.
Right.
You need to be a monster, but also you need to learn how to control being a monster. That's it. I told somebody it's like Superman. Superman, he do, as Clark Kent, he do a bunch of regular stuff, right? A bunch of regular stuff. But he always had to control how he shakes somebody's hand.
Yep.
Even as Clark Kent, he got to do it. So let's look at some of the stuff we got here, man, and we can move on. You got to find a way to keep your identity. This from Fritz. Be able to adapt to every situation you're presented with. And if you could do more than that to half the time, then you success. I like that part because he's allowing for sometimes not to be able to adapt, Yeah,
well, it's 100% is a very high mark.
Yeah,
and it's really because we're human beings, it's really a unattainable mark. To be one way or in one zone or completely dedicated to one thing 100% of the time. That's why, more than half the time you can do the successful thing or the right thing 70-80% of the time, man. You rocking and rolling.
That's right. Now look who in the house. Look who in the house here. Big facts.
But just back on the topic of this chapter, fellas, and this is directed at men. We know we need to spend time and do what we got to do with the family, but don't allow yourself to get so caught up in that you forget who you are.
That's right.
You forget your goals, because those are important, and they deserve time and energy and effort, just like your family. And just like I, with Doc, and I told him about, rock them letters at the back of your name and call you Doc.
Yeah.
Your children seeing you accomplish things matter.
Yeah.
Matters just as much as you tell them to go clean their room up, you drop them off to school. Them seeing you accomplish things and progress forward as a man matters. It gives your sons something to aspire to, and your daughters something to require from their partners.
That's right. Well, all right. I got 3 things I want to do. Then we can move on to the next chapter. Number 1, Mr. White, being a man is having the power to do great violence, but controlled to know when not to use it. You know what the Bible called that? Meekness. Meek don't mean weak. Nope. Meek means being in control of yourself and what you're doing. And the 48 laws of power, we talked about that a lot. Like all these things are intersecting. All right. Number 2. In this book, he says, children learn the most from their parents by osmosis. If the father is weakened and compromised, this will flavor their experience of his love. So when you compromise yourself, you pass it on to them. We think we doing them favors. We think we're by not being the best version of ourselves, we are hurting our children because they learning how to fold under pressure. They learning how to not stand up when everybody trying to knock you down. So we teaching them that. And here's the last thing. Don't cheat your family of your fullest core. That means the fullest version of yourself. Don't use them as an excuse to avoid the work it would take to manifest your highest vision. So don't be like, oh, I can't do that because of my kids. I can't do that because of my wife. What I say is you better figure it out.
Yep.
All right, man. We're going to hit one more?
Yeah, yes, sir. Let's go.
All right. So the next one, 14. I thought I numbered these things right. I messed this whole thing up. But it's chapter 14, and it say don't get lost in tasks or duties. Matter of fact, let me put that on the thing. Let me fix this thing real fast.
I think that's 15.
No, it's 14.
Okay.
Yeah. Ooh. Hold on. I'm all mixed up today. I'm telling you that technical difficulties.
Must be don't wait for things to get easier or something like that.
Yeah, now that's the big one. But here we go. That's that big one. So we're gonna jump through this real quick, and so we can get to that next one. All right, here we go. Don't get lost in the details of tasks and duties. I find myself doing the same thing all the time. But this is what he said. A man should never get lost in the details of his life and forget that ultimately, in truth, life amounts to nothing other than what's the deepest truth of this present moment. Tasks don't get a man anywhere.
Nope.
We always tend to put stuff on what I got to do or what I'm doing.
Well, first off, what I got to do and what I'm doing is such a major.
Hey.
we remember that differently, sir.
You know what? He ain't gonna let you forget that. He ain't gonna let you.
We just gonna say we remember that incident differently. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't. First of all, I was not a chaperone. We all kids. Let's start right there.
We all kids.
All kids. Let's start right there. I was not an adult. Let's start there. But that's neither here nor there.
But go ahead, man. Say what you gonna say.
Was there.
But your task, man, the stuff you get stuck on doing. We always talk about what we got to do, but go ahead, man.
We do, and quite literally, we have a lot to do. It's some days you will find yourself at work. You gotta call somebody, make an appointment. You gotta do this. You gotta schedule that. You gotta go pick this up, go pick that up. You gotta run over here, run over there, and next thing you know, you get tied up in your task and your duties, and you have done nothing.
That's true. I mean, I'm guilty of that big time.
Yeah.
But here's the bigger part, and why I think being stuck in this is we use it as distractions.
Oh, yeah.
To me, this is what the fear of success is. This is a hallmark of it. Focusing on the small tasks. He said that he called this do mode. Like you want to do something and you're totally focused and intent on getting the task done. And it's one of our biggest strengths, but it's also one of our biggest weaknesses because we use it to distract ourselves from the world, everything. I know I did.
And I think what I don't recall it being stated in the chat, but I think it's important to make the distinction between just regular mundane tasks and duties, or even not mundane tasks that you do, and things that are actually steps towards your goals or towards your goals. Sometimes those tasks feel like something you just need to do, but it's actually very important, and we need to be very aware of which ones, of defining which are which, so you don't waste time with the things that aren't moving you forward towards your purpose and your goal.
Alignment.
Oh, that's the word. Boy, that's behind your name right there because you got them words.
Alignment. I mean, all right, think about it. This is the doing in the task.
Yeah.
If you're trying to get a CDL, right? Why are you still chasing your rap career? They don't match. They're not aligned.
Nope.
Do something that's going to get you to your ultimate goal and your purpose.
You could be a rapping trucker. That's a whole genre. Just straight make music for truckers. That's who you make. That's a whole genre right there. Nobody ain't stepped on that. That's money. That's money.
Oh man.
Trucker. You know what I'm saying? You can talk about going to the rest stops and the gas stations all over America, business, all that. You get a whole genre right there.
You get them all.
We the truck rap, truck driver rap. They don't do nothing but listen to satellite radio.
Hey, look, you can legit do that. Start a TikTok.
Hey, you know
but y'all see, but you know,
talk about nothing but that stuff out there on that road. That's all I'm saying.
Oh boy, y'all funny. But you got to find something that match. Don't distract yourself with stuff. But also the little. It's about let the CDL fund the rap career.
There it is. Get on that road for about a month, come back, and hit that studio hard for a week, dropping them dimes in the studio.
You get you about 5 or 6 hours of studio time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna run this load to the ATL and come back, get me 6 hours.
Get in there and grind out 2, 3 songs all the way through, mix the master down. You understand?
But this right here, though, I mean, all right, that's alignment. Rap about the rash the seatbelt give you from sitting all day.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? You don't have no decked out crib. You got a decked out truck bed. You understand? In the back, you know, in the back of the truck. You showing you showing that. You that right with the seats and the satin sheets and all that in the bed in the truck.
Only time I sat in sheets in the sleeper cab.
Bowling. You know what I'm saying? You don't talk about black cars. You talk about gas cars, fuel cars. Baby.
Hey, ain't nothing called more than that, boy. I tell you. But the big thing he said right here, what struck me. He said, if you was to die right now, with the feeling of texture of your last moment, right? So what these little tasks you doing, if you was to die today, would you feel complete? Like, oh, I'm glad I did that. Or, also he said that, are you so absorbed in some task that you hardly notice the depth upon you until the last instant? Think about that. Are you so involved in what you're doing that doesn't matter that you don't notice the world going on around you until it's too late?
I have definitely woke up at a moment and thought I'm missing life.
Yeah.
That has definitely happened.
You
moving through day after day after day, just doing whatever you need to get through to get by. And then one day you wake up and say, what the hell am I doing?
Yes. Now, right here, Mr. Floyd say sometimes we forget a man's happiness may come from the do mode. And that may be the case, but what this book trying to get us to realize is that we more than just human doings. We define ourselves by just do. But once we realize that we're more than that you got another dimension to you, you can do awesome things. I mean, that's what Eric Thomas did. He realized his thing and then he took off. That did it. But go watch this. I was watching, man, I'm the big nerd, man. If you can't see, you see my Captain America shield right there. So that's where I am. I was watching this thing, right? And Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards.
Yep.
In some comic books, there's something called a Council of Reeds. And that's all the Reed Richards from all over the multiverse. They got together. And the thing that was similar with all of them is that they family and they friends left them because they were so focused on the work. And all they had left was themselves and people like them. Then I thought about us like you just said, you wake up one day and wonder what in the world you're doing. This is why men get accused of so many things, like not caring for our kids, or we end up, our wives and stuff want to leave us because we don't pay attention to that part. We one-sided. We got to be two-sided, three-sided, multifaceted.
You have to. And it's a work in progress. It's nothing that comes easy. I think this book talks about quit waiting on things to get easier and things like that, because it's not.
No.
You have to constantly be developing. You're not going to ever get to a point where you're enough, but at the simultaneously, you always are.
Yeah, that's it. So Mr. White said, all my kids graduated high school and are successful. It's time to reintroduce me to myself.
Yep.
And I'm glad you said that, because a lot of us don't know ourselves, and that's why we're here, especially trying to find that purpose. So, man, just getting to the end of this one, man, to wrap it up. Man, it's a lot of stuff in this chapter. If you want a copy of the PDF, hit me up on the messenger. I can send you one. You can get mine that are marked up, but it's some big stuff here.
As a matter of fact, I'd rather, finish up for the next couple of minutes on this chapter, and we'll pick up on 15 next week. Because that chapter take a little, we can't rush that.
Yeah. It's you're right.
15, man. I know for 100% fact, 15 gonna make a difference in at least one person's life here in 15.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna graze over that and rush it, because I think I listened to that chapter 3 or 4 times the first time I went through this book, and I listened to it 2 more times a day.
Look, let me show them real quick. Right there. That's number 15. Fritz, I got you. I'll send it to you. Stop hoping for your woman to get easier.
Yes, sir.
That's it. So that's what we go hit next week. So yeah, Fritz, just send me a message. I get it to you, and then we can Terry said he got his notes for chapter 15. Look, come back next week so we can go ahead and get this thing knocked out.
We're gonna hit it, man. We're gonna get into that one. That might take the whole episode. We don't know. I'm telling you right now,
yeah,
it's a deep one, and you got to get into that. Read it or listen to it. Go back, read it, listen to it again. It's important. It's deep.
It's the culmination of the first section of the book.
Yes.
And the first section of the book is called A Man's Way, or like the Mandalorian, this is the way.
Right.
Now the next chapter is about the women, which is important too. We need to know that. So we'll hit that. It's about women easy. Look at that. Fritz, boy, you already know.
Well, I want people to understand why we're going to take the time on this chapter. We opened this. If you go back to the first episode of this book, or the first chapters we went through, we said this is from the perspective of men who want to be or are currently in relationships with women.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that to exclude anybody or anybody's personal situation, but that is where we're coming from in this book. And that makes a chapter like this extremely important and deserves some time, because for most of us, this is a large portion of our life.
Yeah.
A large portion of our sustained happiness comes from our relationships.
Well, and I mean, it's the way all this stuff fit together. And that's what I want to push out to us. It's starting first by building yourself, finding your purpose. While finding your purpose, taking care of your wife, your significant other, and your family. It's the guide to how to do all of it. And the big part of it is we have to let go of the way that we were thinking.
Yep.
Our thought process and our mindset has to shift, because you can do everything. You just have to be intentional on how you do it.
Yep. And like I said, for me, with the first chapter we went over. I definitely have used my kids as an excuse, my family as an excuse. I've checked out on a relationship using my children as the excuse for doing it.
Yeah.
That for a fact. I have 100% let myself get caught up in I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do this, I need to do that. Because I've always said if I get everything done, then I can move to this. Once I do this, I can do that. Once I do this, I can do that. And you end up never getting to the that. Because it's always once I do this.
It's always there. You always gonna do that. So
very hard. I definitely was indicted in both of those two chapters. It's been very hard for me to. Those are some lessons that took a lot of work for me.
Yeah, and I noticed a lot within myself. I told y'all the story about my fear, how fear of success affects me, and I see this as another way fear of success affects us all. We just don't know it, and I use that. Like I'll tell y'all the truth. This is one thing that I do in places where I am uncomfortable, where I don't fit. I find something to do.
Yep.
I find somebody that need help. Intentionally, I seek them out because I'm uncomfortable. So, and that's the same thing with it. I might be there for a specific purpose, but I'm avoiding the purpose by doing the other tasks. And it gets bigger than that. I mean, we do that at the house. Some people don't want to go home because they don't want to work out stuff with their wives or their significant others. They'd rather avoid it.
Yep.
But you got to get to a point where you got to work through it. And one big thing I highlighted here, what he said, you are not a drone. You're not. You're not a drone. And I'm not talking about the ones that fly. I'm talking about a drone like a bee that just go out and collect stuff and come back, work, come back, come back. You're not that. So, all right, man. So I think we want to go ahead and shut it down.
Yeah, I'm just going to say, read these two chapters, get opportunity, learn from life, did a lot for me. Be ready for next week, fellas. Do your homework for next week. We want to hear you. We want to hear what you got to say. All week long, you want to post things about it. We will be watching and interested. Let's take this next chapter and really try to help ourselves to grow.
Yeah, y'all come back. We're going to get it in. So it's going to be some homework. Don't forget, Saturday at 11, if I'm not blown away by the hurricane, we're going to be here. We're going to finish up talking about Michael Beasley and what he went through. Title of it is He Is Me, Part 2. So
also, listen, Mr. White, okay? That was a long time ago. You ain't going to keep holding that over my head, brother. You're not going to keep holding that over my head. Anyway, thank y'all for joining us.
Hey.
It's another episode of the Book of Man, Book Study Superior, man. We're getting deep into this thing now. We love y'all. Join us again next week. Join us on Saturday. We out.
Peace.